Hello everyone, my name is Jason HO. I'm very thankful and pleased to be invited as a guest speaker for the topic of entrepreneurial finance. I'm a full-time businessman selling jewelry and a part-time angel investor, and I also teach part-time in the PSB Academy. We are looking at entrepreneurial finance. The main thing that we're looking at would be how can a young investor actually raise funds in order to fund their venture? The two main pillars will be looking at debt financing and equity financing. That simply means taking borrow money from the bank or some financial, or to sell our shares as a form of equity to raise our own funds. Then we'll look into the pros and cons in both methods, and then of course we also discuss about the rising trend today about the rising interest rate. And likewise, we also discuss about how the investors will be looking at the ventures in terms of how they assess their business idea, in terms of feasibility, and in terms of the entrepreneur themselves, how to look out for the correct investor. Are we looking at venture capitalists? Are we looking at business angel, the major one and the minor one? Or we're simply looking at some family and friends to help us in our venture? How much control will one entrepreneur has also depends very much on how much money they want to get, because when the investors comes in, very likely they will take away most of their equity. And how do you manage that relationship? Sometimes we do have friends who really decided to do like a partnership in terms of doing their own business, how they should divide their equity as well. In fact, there are cases where friends are good friends, but the moment they start to do business together, everything falls apart. So how can we ensure that we are able to protect our business at the same time to protect our friendship? We will look into various perspectives on how to divide the equity so that everybody will not deem this as unfair. In fact, this is one of the best things that can happen to the entrepreneur, because to the end, we do not want an investor to come in and then they can set it up, and after that, nothing happens. Because to the end, for a real business to take off, you are looking at least about 18 months to 3 years. In fact, many businesses might even close down in 3 years. It will be a must to find a group of investors who are strong enough to support your startup throughout in terms of resources. My answer to that will be probably you have to look at the investor's background. So don't feel shy to ask questions. Sometimes by asking questions, you are actually showing interest as well. So you can ask the investors who could be their real bosses behind them. So in a way, if the investors are willing to share a view, the people behind them, you'll be able to actually do some research to know the size of these big bosses. So in a way that you can secure that certainty that you have fundings and you have resources, even if your business is still growing. Another way to look at it could be, the simple one would be to ask the current investors what could be their past few projects and their ROI. The investors do not show any sign that they are able to sustain, able to support you all the way, then probably they are not strong enough for you to take off. And you may want to really consider before you just embark a journey with them. Because the worst thing that can happen is that halfway through, they drop you from somewhere, or they simply just sell your business away to anybody else. So this is something that you may want to consider. The first part is to withdraw capital, right? So if right now suddenly the investors choose to withdraw capital, this will always be a big problem to the entrepreneur, because you actually need the cash flow to run your business. Instead of being upset about it, why not sit down with the investors to really understand why would the investor do that? Because it's highly illogical for people to withdraw their capital when they are the one who actually agree to come on board with you. So could it be the investors are upset about your management style? Could it be the investors are upset about the way you operate? So probably can talk to the investors. I don't think normally it's a money issue, because for the investors, they will have means to find other fundings, not likely to withdraw money from you. So very likely they are not happy with certain things they are doing. So sit down and actually be quite transparent about it and talk to them. So that is how I will handle the situation when the investor try to withdraw their capital. The second part of the question is talking about how they want to increase the capital. My suggestion is to ask ourselves as a startup, do we really need the excessive funds or not? Do we really need the excessive funds? Because if there is no need to have so much money to operate, then it's better actually not to take so much money. At least that's from my perspective. Because think about this, the more money you take from the investor, right, it's not going to be free. Right? Very likely if they give you more money, this also comes with what? a bigger KPI, a bigger key performance indicator. They might give you more responsibility, they might even give you more burden. I think as a startup right now, more important is to survive your first 3 years. I mean, for me, I'm more interested to take a down-to-earth approach. So instead of just taking more money and more money and more money and don't know what to do about it, I'd rather you feel free to reject the extra money. And of course, if the investor's really keen to invest in your business, then you can talk about more detail about it. But don't just be too happy to take money, because sometimes some money could be questionable as well. And if the money come in too easily, right now we know that this thing called money laundering. So let's be also very cautious about it and to not allow certain money to come into your venture and spoil your own reputation. How to agree to sign the betting agreement. This is more of a legal issue. So I would suggest that as a startup, right, sometimes you don't have to be the one to solve all the problem. I repeat, as a startup founder, you don't have to be the one to solve all the problem. We should always get the experts to help you. So in this case, quite clear, we should get a local lawyer who is very familiar with the commercial law to come in to help you to ring fence and to help you to look out for any blind spot before you even agree to it. So try not to touch all these things on your own, but get the right people to do it. My personal opinion and suggestion, I don't recommend my friends or even my students to actually go straight into entrepreneurship as a fresh grad. The reason is because the chance of failure will be quite high. Why? I'm not here to pour cold water, but just to make sure that people will be okay. Now, the reason is because I would suggest that a fresh grad should actually go out to work first. 3 to 5 years, maybe 3 to 5 years after that, then we'll embark into certain entrepreneurship. It will make a lot of good sense, especially if right now a fresh grad do not have any family business as a backing. Now, in a situation, of course, if right now you have a family business, then of course the best mentor could be your parents or your dad. So yeah, go ahead and do it, because you're going to get a lot out of it. But if right now you're a fresh grad and there's no existing business to work on, my suggestion is to work for a few years first. Of course, in this way, the working will not be just blindly working. The working will be with a purpose. What do I mean? For example, if eventually I want to do a startup in fashion-related business, would I want to work for the telecom? Would I want to work for the bank? It doesn't make sense anymore, so I will not. I will try to work backwards and work in a fashion-related company. If you can work in a fashion-related company, and after 3 to 5 years later, gaining the correct experience, getting the network, and you even get paid for it, no? Then after that, you come out and then do your own business, right? It makes very good sense. So instead of just jumping into something that you are unclear about, so your chance of success will be way higher. I don't just give an opinion like that, I share with you what I did for myself as well. Like before I do my jewelry business, I was actually in the jewelry trade for 3 years before I even embarked into it. Prior to that, I actually already worked for 10 years. So this is where that accumulative kind of experience will help you to make better choices and how to handle different dynamics with people. Because to the end, doing business is just not about finance, it's just not about product. It's also about how to manage the people. Now, most of the time, there is a template. Yes, there is a template. Just like very much when people go for job interview, they always ask us to fill up an application form, even though we have our own CV. But why would they want us to fill up the application form? It's because they need something that having the same format so that they can actually compare. So same thing for most of the investors, right? When they invite you to go and do a presentation, very likely they will not make it so open-ended. They will give you this thing called the pitch deck. So the pitch deck is like a template, like an application form as well. So you have to fill in the blank. Of course, the major themes will be like existing problem, what is your solution, how you can be better, your competitor comparison. So these are the things that they will look out for. And you don't have to worry so much. They will give you this template like a pitch deck, and you just need to fill up the blanks and of course add in your own stuff. But I just want to highlight that most of the time when I talk to different people, I realize that a lot of young startup, they focus a lot on their product and services. But can I tell you a little secret? We are not really investing into the product. We are not really investing into the services. We are actually more interested in you. We are more interested in the person. To the end, you see, there's no so-called new product under the sun. To the end, it's about the people that we invest. If right now your idea is not so good, but during the communication, during the pitching, the investors somehow felt that you are a good person. You are a person that can be relied on. And don't be surprised, no, to the end, they might just tell you, hey friend, your idea is not so good, but guess what? you meet me in my office on Monday, I have an existing project. Would you mind to take on this project and you become the next CEO? I just want to say that probably sometimes the focus should not only be on the product and services, it should actually be on you. Because to the end, investors is more interested to invest in that person. Because you see, sometimes investors, we have the money or we are old enough, but we don't have energy, you see. So we need some young people to help us to actually spearhead our project. So we are looking at that individual that can actually take up this responsibility. My suggestion would be a few things. Probably integrity. This is something that's really lacking today, integrity. Number two, adaptability. That means, are you teachable? Are you able to make changes because the investor tells you, probably you want to try this way. So if you're able to adapt, you're able to learn quickly, then this is where you'll be able to deliver. And that's where I think the investors are more than happy to invest in you than your product. Yeah. So don't worry so much about your product. It can always be tweaked. But you are the main person that we are interested in. Feel free to engage the career services and engagement team if you need more help or to clarify certain questions. And we wish you all the best in your undertaking. Thank you.